The Olympics promise unity, excellence, and the triumph of the human spirit. But sometimes what they reveal instead is something else entirely. Here are 5 times the Olympics were host to unexpected disaster. Worth knowing, quiet facts, big consequences. Number 5. The 1904 Marathon. In August of 1904, during the Summer Games in St. Louis, the Olympic marathon began in sweltering heat. Temperatures reportedly near 90 degrees Fahrenheit, on unpaved Missouri roads. From the start, the event was poorly planned. There were only a handful of water stations along the 2485-mile course. Automobiles drove alongside the runners, kicking up thick clouds of dust that coated their lungs and blurred their vision. American runner Thomas Hicks nearly collapsed from exhaustion. His trainers administered small doses of strychnine, a toxic stimulant commonly used as rat poison, mixed with egg whites and brandy. He finished first, barely conscious, supported across the line. Another competitor was hospitalized with severe internal bleeding from dust inhalation. Of the 32 runners who started, only 14 finished. The 1904 marathon wasn't just chaotic. It exposed how little structure or medical oversight existed in the early Olympic movement. The Games promised human excellence, but without basic safety planning, that promise became a gamble. It would take decades before standardized rules, hydration protocols, and athlete protections became central to Olympic competition. Number 4, the 1956 equestrian crisis. When Melbourne was selected to host the 1956 Summer Olympics, few considered one critical detail: Australia's strict animal quarantine laws. At the time, imported horses were required to undergo a 6-month quarantine to prevent the spread of disease. That meant equestrian athletes simply could not bring their horses into the country in time for the Games. Rather than adjust the laws or relocate the entire event, organizers made an unprecedented decision. The equestrian competitions were held 5 months earlier, and over 9,000 miles away, in Stockholm, Sweden. For the first and only time in modern history, the Olympic Games were split across 2 continents. The logistical strain was immense. Athletes, officials, and media had to navigate 2 separate ceremonies, 2 timelines, and fractured global attention. The crisis revealed something subtle but important. The Olympics had grown so large that a single overlooked regulation could fracture the entire event. From that point forward, host cities faced far more rigorous planning scrutiny. Number 3, Mexico City, 1968. When Mexico City was awarded the 1968 Summer Olympics, it became the highest altitude host city in modern Olympic history, sitting roughly 7,350 feet above sea level. Scientists had already warned that the thin air would dramatically affect endurance events. Oxygen levels at that elevation are about 25% lower than at sea level. For marathoners and distance runners, that difference isn't abstract, it's physiological. During the Games, multiple athletes collapsed from exhaustion. Long-distance times slowed dramatically. Some competitors arrived weeks early just to acclimate. Others had no such resources. Interestingly, sprinters and jumpers benefited from the reduced air resistance, leading to several record-breaking performances. The altitude reshaped the medal table in ways that had little to do with pure ability and much to do with preparation. The decision to host at extreme elevation wasn't reckless, but it revealed how environmental conditions can quietly tilt the field of competition. After 1968, sports science, acclimation strategy, and host site evaluation became far more central to Olympic planning. The Games are meant to measure human limits, but Mexico City showed that the environment sets those limits first. Number 2, Seoul, 1988. At the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul, American boxer Roy Jones Jr. entered the ring as a dominant favorite in the light middleweight division. In the gold medal match, Jones outlanded his opponent, South Korea's Park Sae-hun, by a staggering margin, 86 punches to 32, according to official counts. By most accounts, it wasn't close. But when the judge's decision was announced, Park was awarded the gold medal. The crowd reacted with confusion. Even Park later admitted he believed Jones had won. An investigation revealed that 3 judges had been influenced by host nation pressure. They were eventually suspended, though the result was never overturned. The scandal exposed a vulnerability that had long existed within Olympic judging: subjective scoring systems susceptible to politics and favoritism. In the aftermath, boxing introduced reforms to scoring transparency and judge selection. But the damage lingered. The Olympics promised fairness on the world's largest stage. In Seoul, that promise faltered, not because of athletic failure, but because of human bias behind the scenes. Number 1. Atlanta, 1996. On July 27, 1996, during the Summer Games in Atlanta, a pipe bomb detonated in Centennial Olympic Park, a public gathering space meant to celebrate the Games. 2 people were killed. More than 100 were injured. The park had been designed as an open, accessible fan zone, a symbol of a more relaxed, celebratory Olympic atmosphere. But that openness also created security vulnerabilities. In the hours after the explosion, security guard Richard Jewell was hailed as a hero for spotting the suspicious backpack and helping clear the area. Days later, he was publicly named as a suspect by law enforcement sources and widely portrayed in the media as the likely perpetrator. He was innocent. The real bomber, Eric Rudolph, was not apprehended until years later. The tragedy forced a permanent transformation in Olympic security planning, shifting from celebration-first design to hardened, intelligence-driven protection. Atlanta revealed that disaster isn't only about the attack itself. It's about how institutions respond under pressure, and how quickly the narrative can outrun the truth.